This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the FireRock conference in New York City 2014. I have with me Mr. Stan Stalnaker of Hub Culture. It's a private company. Stan, welcome to SNNLive.
Shelley, thanks so much for having me on today. It's great to see you.
Let's tell the audience what's Hub Culture.
So Hub Culture is a social network that was created back in 2002. And it operates a digital currency called VEN, which was the first digital currency to actually move into the financial markets. People often think of Bitcoin as being the poster child for digital currency, but we actually invented the category back in 2007 with an asset-backed currency that was existing within the social network. And over time, it's moved into the markets.
I gotta stop.
Yeah.
What is the asset?
Well, they're actually a mix of assets. It functions a little bit like an ETF. So there's a number of currencies like the dollar, the euro, the pound, the renminbi, the yen, and then commodities like gold, silver, agricultural commodities, and carbon. And the carbon actually makes it the first green currency in the world because there's this kind of derivative asset offset with the base of the currency, which is carbon linked.
Let me get this straight. So you're called a VEN currency.
The currency is called VEN, yeah.
V-E-N.
V-E-N.
This V-E-N is tradable, and it has a value based on the underlying assets.
Absolutely.
So you're almost like a currency that's based on the gold standard.
Well, we wouldn't say exactly the gold standard.
You wouldn't,
because
but
it's more diversified, but it is absolutely an asset-backed currency. We kind of think of VEN as the Swiss franc of the internet. It's very, very stable. It's very, very reliable in the sense that it has this asset backing. There's a central bank that is actually vouching for the value of the currency that's in the market. And this asset backing itself is highly diversified, not only from a currency standpoint, but from a commodity standpoint. So the two areas, these two assets classes tend to cancel each other out from a volatility standpoint and create a currency that's super, super stable.
Who accepts VEN?
Well, the VEN is being used within the network of Hub Culture, of which there are tens of thousands of members. And those tens of thousands of members have VEN accounts, VEN wallets, and they're able to trade that VEN between each other, or they actually cash the VEN out through our retail stores, which exist both online and in the real world. We have these sort of pop-ups and physical spaces that come and go, or which are permanent, depending on the market you're in, where you can spend your VEN. But the key thing for us is really thinking about institutional level investors and corporate netting. So over 50% of the volume of VEN that's sold in the world is actually done to corporations. And then now 95% of the VEN that's actually trading in the markets is happening on Forex exchanges like LMAX in Europe, where you have institutional level traders and institutional buyers coming in and out of the currency just like they would really any other currency.
So now you've got a new currency that actually kind of in a way mirrors Euro, as far as, how it can trade amongst a lot of countries at once and did away with the individual franc, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we wouldn't say that that the VEN would ever replace fiat currency or sovereign currency, but it does play a very interesting role in terms of just liquidity and stability for the market. And especially the carbon side as well gives us really now a financial tool that's green, which I think can have tremendous benefits and impact on the economy. It's massive. So, when you think about the carbon markets, this has been somewhat gray and spotty over the last several years. And so the value of VEN is only a little bit carbon. It's like 7% of the underlying basket. But it's enough to make everything that VEN touches green. So if you're a corporation and you're netting out like receipts or you're holding balances in VEN, you actually have this kind of derivative carbon benefit that's attached to that makes everything you're touching green. If you're a consumer and you get, say, a VEN card, which they're coming soon, Visa and MasterCards that are VEN denominated, and you go to the store and you buy something with that card, you get this derivative carbon benefit attached to that, which makes your purchase green. But you're not actually doing it as a tax. Typically, carbon has been seen as a tax in the economy because people are being charged extra for carbon compliance, like companies are. And this is a big reason why many companies don't like the idea of a carbon tax, because it's exactly that, it's a tax. But when you actually embed these assets into the DNA of the currency, you can actually eliminate this kind of net cost at the top, but have the net benefit by the float of the currency. So it's really the circulation that makes that happen.
How much VEN is in the float?
Well, we're approaching 500 million VEN exchanged, and we think we'll be at 1 billion within the next few months. The key for that is that the exchange rate is 10 to 1, right? So there's more VEN than, say, there's 10 VEN to a given dollar circulating. So the numbers sound a little bit higher than, say, the dollar amount. But that's a good 40 million of trade this year, and it's moving very, very fast. It's growing very, very quickly.
Are there any airlines that accept VEN?
Well, we have to be very careful from a regulatory standpoint about how we trade VEN. So there are limitations to the way that we, as an entity, are able to exchange VEN in and out of the economy. So you can move into VEN, you can move it around the network, and then you have to basically buy goods and services to exit the currency. Or if you're a regulated entity like an exchange or a bank or somebody else, you're then able to move VEN in and out for consumers between fiat currency, like say dollars or euros. So airlines aren't using VEN, except I don't know if we've had any airlines actually buy VEN, but we do have corporations who purchase VEN and then have used it, and then they basically would cash out or use the economic value of that. But in the institutional markets, it's different because anybody can buy it.
Exactly. Here's my question. You traded 500 million VEN, right? So what is the amount of original VEN that was originally put into the market?
That's a really good question. So the VEN drips into the market when there's demand for it. So the actual, obviously, starting amount was 0, and the amount of the float, the circulation of VEN, is growing ever so slowly as more buyers come into the market to demand VEN. But remember, it's asset-backed, right? So we can't issue VEN unless there's like an algorithmic unlock for the currency. So the only time that VEN gets issued into the market, new VEN issued into the market, is when there's a purchaser coming basically to the central bank to purchase that VEN. And then when the VEN retires back out of the market, like when it's redeemed for goods and services, it goes back into what we call the glacier. So the bulk of VEN, there's actually a lot of VEN that is in basically the glacier, but it's offline and it's what we would call cold storage. It gets algorithmically unlocked.
Where are you located?
Well, we are located in London, like our headquarters is in London. The VEN itself is global because it lives in the cloud, right? So it's everywhere. And in the United States, we have operations in LA and New York.
Are you in LA or New York?
I'm in London.
Oh, you're in London, yeah. All right. I knew I'd find you somewhere.
Yeah. I'm usually on a plane.
So let me ask you, you're a private company.
We are a private company.
What is your website? I think it's time to give out the website.
Well, so there's two main websites. Hubculture.com is a social network where anybody can buy VEN and then trade it and use it. And then assuming that you've achieved certain qualifications on the verification side, like if you're an institutional investor or if you go through some verification, you can then move your VEN onto an exchange where you can trade it back for cash. Or you can actually buy VEN on lmax.com or on kraken.com, which are exchanges trading VEN. And there you have very quick movement between VEN and dollar, for instance. And then VEN.vc is basically the kind of portal for VEN itself, where you can see like historical analyses, trading margins against like the dollar or the pound or even gold or carbon. It's very interesting watching because over the last 7 years, it's probably been the most stable asset on the planet. It's moved less than 2% against the dollar.
What's your background?
You know, I was an economics major in school and international development, studied in DC, but then I actually went into magazines. I was at Fortune for a long time, which I love the fact that you guys are doing media because we're doing media. We're, at our core, we're a social network, right? Mm-hmm. So we understand this idea of community, about audience, and the reason VEN was invented was that we had this global community of people who were part of Hub Culture, and the idea of moving small amounts of value across borders when you had some people in Tokyo and some people in Brazil was a nightmare. And so we thought we need a single store of value. It isn't with VEN.
No, it's not. With VEN, it's not.
Very easy with VEN.
Yeah. How do you differentiate from Bitcoin? Let's get right down.
I like to say they're like peanut butter and jelly. They're totally different things, but they actually go really well together. So, you know, VEN is asset-backed, it's centralized, it comes with identity, it's legal, and it's highly, highly stable. all those issues are somewhat different with Bitcoin. But the core fundamental technology of Bitcoin, which is this idea of a blockchain and a kind of distributed ledger, we think is really incredible. And we even think Bitcoin is interesting. We have investment funds in Venn that allow you to acquire Bitcoin. So you can use your Venn to buy Bitcoin if you want, and same with Ripple, which is another one of the major currencies. But they're really very different things. We think of Venn again as the Swiss franc of the internet. It's very, as I like to say, clean, green, and pristine. So it's not super exciting. It's not going up 100% and then down 90%. So the volatility isn't there. But as a stable hedge, as a store of value, and as an environmental asset, I don't think there's anything better.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Stalnaker, Hub Culture. Give the most main website one more time.
Yeah, hubculture.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive. We're at the FireRock Conference in New York City 2014. It's been a pleasure talking about Venn, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you.
Thanks very much, Shelley.